So, you feel overwhelmed by technology and also want basic privacy? Great, clicking on this video was a good idea. I'm gonna walk you through the 5 steps of decluttering your life with tools that respect your privacy. But first, if you're like, who is this dingling and why should I care about minimalism or privacy? You may want to check out the first and second part in this 3-part series on digital minimalism with privacy. Still here? Excellent. This is a really big topic, and since I thought you wouldn't be in the mood for a 3-hour video, expect this guide to be more of a short summary and not an almanac of privacy. So let's begin.
First, you want to get an overview over all the services you use. This includes apps on your phone, programs on your laptop, and all the online tools you like to use. I want you to collect all these services in a list or something similar.
This should be a lot. We often don't realize just how many services we use daily. You have all these services, but no clear overview, no organizing structure, and most importantly, no control over where your data goes. We want to change that. Quick disclaimer, privacy is always a compromise. If you don't want to live in a cave for the rest of your life, you're gonna have to make compromises. So if you're a privacy enthusiast, just know that I am here to help everyone go 90% of the way. This might not be perfect privacy, but it's a tremendous improvement.
What you want to do now with all the tools you use is put them into categories like messaging, email, cloud storage, social networks and other time suckers, browsers, and so on. Before we move on to step 2, take a good look at the time sucker category.
This is probably your main problem. You should carefully think about every one of these services and if they make a meaningful contribution to your life, or if they are just taking advantage of you. Ditch the ones that are taking advantage of you and regulate the ones that you want to keep. This is also unfortunately not the place to show you how exactly to regulate these services. This warrants a video of its own, which I will do someday, but not now since I am currently in the process of filming another video.
You now have these categories and have already dealt with the time-sucking services. What you want to do now is find exactly one service for each of these categories.
You don't need 3 different cloud providers now, do you? But what criteria should you use to determine which apps you end up using? I suggest using my gold standard I introduced in another video.
To have the gold standard, a service needs to be open source, so that everyone can review the code and make sure there are no backdoors. It needs to have end-to-end encryption, simply meaning that all your data there is truly private. And it needs to have good design. No one wants an app that respects your privacy but is ugly and hard to use.
Also, all the apps I present here are free, at least in their basic version, and sync across all your devices. So, what specific apps to use? I won't tell you what to choose, but here are my favorite services for each category. For cloud storage, I use Mega. It provides 50 GB of free storage and has apps for any OS. There is a handy desktop client syncing all your files really fast. Also, you can replace Google Photos with it, as the app includes automatic picture upload. If you don't want to trust any cloud, you could try SyncThing. It syncs your files across devices, working like a cloud, but there is no cloud, and thus no limit on how much you can store. All happens on your devices.
If you like Google Docs or Dropbox Paper, try eCloud.global. With a free account, you can basically have the same functionality as Google Drive, and people can work with you on documents even without having an account.
I don't think search engines are that important in comparison to other services mentioned here, but consider switching to DuckDuckGo. If you really like the results of Google, you could also use Startpage. It displays the results of Google without taking all your data in the process.
Duckling break. Due to the high information density of this video, we will be right back after you watch these ducklings take a bath. Look at how cute they are! Anyways, moving on.
One of the most important programs you're going to use is your browser. And for desktop computers, I recommend Firefox. Especially after the Firefox Quantum update, it's really fun to use. And the people behind Firefox, the Mozilla Foundation, really care about a free and open internet. But if you really like Google Chrome, there is one other amazing alternative you can use: Brave.
Brave is built on the same foundation as Chrome, Chromium, but in contrast to Google Chrome, it has an integrated ad blocker, tracker blocker, and doesn't sell you data. And there's this whole thing going on with a cryptocurrency for attention, which is really interesting, but which you can safely ignore.
On mobile, I would even recommend Brave over Firefox. It's just so snappy and fast. Our next category is note-taking apps, and this is a bit harder because people have very specific tastes and preferences here. However, there is one note-taking app that is beautifully designed and satisfies at least all my preferences.
Standard Notes. In its forever free basic version, Standard Notes reminds me of Google Keep. You write notes and give them tags. They sync across devices quickly and are truly private. There is a paid plan which I purchased. This makes Standard Notes less like Google Keep and more like OneNote. The core functionality here is that you can choose your own editor for each note you take. There is a markdown editor, a code editor, a task editor, and even a LaTeX editor. Plus you can nest your tags, attach files, and more.
I find the basic version to be sufficient in most needs. But another app that provides most of the features of Standard Notes Premium for free is Joplin. Problem is it's not that well designed and kinda hard to use at first. Also, there's Simple Note. It's great, open source, free, but it's not encrypted, so it doesn't meet my gold standard. But if you have some notes that you would really want to share with every person on the planet, you could use that, I suppose.
For quickly capturing thoughts, I use Signal's Note to Self function to capture thoughts in pics, voice memos, or text.
Email is a very important part of online life, and it can be kinda hard to switch email providers because you need to tell all companies and people you know that you have switched addresses. But here's some motivation. Google reads through all your Gmail emails at any time they like. Wow. If you support the crazy idea that your email should be like your mail, meaning that other people can just read it, there are great alternatives in look and feel to Gmail. I personally use my own website for email, so I haven't tested any of them, but I have heard that ProtonMail is a great free email provider with excellent encryption. And lastly, there is messaging apps.
This is a bit of a special category because you probably won't be able to use just one. Other people's preferences pressure you into using a lot of apps just to communicate. But maybe you have found out that this isn't optimal, but also not that bad.
So let me suggest you use another one. I know that might sound counterintuitive, but hear me out. Due to the network effect, getting people to switch messengers is really hard. But this includes a false assumption that people need to switch messengers. In reality, you just need people to have another messenger installed to communicate with you. WhatsApp, Telegram, and especially Facebook Messenger are untrustworthy to say the least. WhatsApp says they use encryption, but we can't really check that because their code is not open source. So
we'd have to trust them. And I choose not to trust Facebook that they are doing something just because they do so.
The good news? There is a great alternative messenger, Signal. Signal again warrants its own video, I do say that a lot. But the most important details here. Snowden recommends it, it's completely free, it's securely encrypted, has millions of users worldwide, and it's run by a foundation with no profit motive. And they recently introduced stickers, if that floats your boat. It also has a desktop application that truly works without the phone, unlike WhatsApp for instance. I won't tell you to ditch all other messengers and just use Signal. I'm just telling you that you could consider using Signal alongside other messengers.
You probably have at least a few of your friends already using it. Text with them there and maybe convince your family or a significant other to use it to keep your most intimate conversations truly private. Now when someone of your friends decides they want to care more about their data, you won't stop them from using Signal because they can't text with you.
Hey, future editing me here. I almost forgot one very important thing. You can care about data security all you want if you have weak passwords. So I recommend you have very strong passwords. But I can't remember them all and I think so do you. So I recommend getting a password manager.
I know it can be hard to trust anyone or anything with your passwords, but remember, you don't need to trust when you got open source code and strong encryption. There are a lot of different password managers out there, some costing quite a lot of money. I recommend and use Bitwarden because it's free, easy to use and conforms to my gold standard. Take all the services on your list and put them in the password manager. Now you will never lose your overview again.
Disclaimer: you should keep in mind that these are all recommendations of mine, and I'm not telling you to do anything. You should use your own critical thinking to decide which services you really want to trust. Wow, step 2 was long. Well, now you put all the services you use into groups. You eliminated the most distracting services, and you found out about privacy-focused alternatives for each of the groups. Next, you need to consider switching. You could, of course, switch all at once, maybe take a day or two to do so in an organized manner, but that might seem a bit daunting to you, and you don't have to do it all at once. Just try using some of these services for a while to get a feel for them. Once you are comfortable with an alternative, you can move your data over. I can't possibly go through all the combinations of services to tell you exactly how to do so, but I mean, you're an adult, you can use the internet to find solutions to that problem. It usually isn't that difficult. Let's assume you have now successfully moved all your data to more secure apps and have one app per category, ideally. This is not the end of the process. You can still get easily overwhelmed by technology, and we need to address that. For this, we're going to look at the most important thing on your phone, your home screen.
If you have an iPhone, there's not that much you can do, except rearrange your apps to increase friction to access the ones you deem less valuable.
But if you own an Android phone, you can and should definitely consider changing the launcher. A launcher basically replaces your home screen, so you have an entirely new look and feel.
There are a lot of them. If you want to go full minimalist, I recommend the Slim launcher, link in the description. If that's not your cup of tea, there are a lot of other launchers that meet my gold standard.
But that's for another video. I think I'm going to have to make a lot of videos. Just use your home screen to increase friction and shape your digital environment as you like. With my desktop, I practice something I call Desktop Zero.
I made a whole video about it, which you can check out if you want additional information. The gist is that I treat my desktop as a to-do list, having it always empty unless there is something to do.
Which brings me to step 5, daily digital minimalist habits. You want to not let anything clutter up your digital life again. To do so, you can practice Inbox Zero, Desktop Zero, and Note Zero. With Note Zero, I mean checking my Signal quick capture system and transferring any ideas into the relevant categories and standard notes. While writing the script for this video, I realized that this would be my longest so far. And still, I only touched the surface of what digital minimalism with privacy could look like. I didn't talk at all about some important issues. For instance, to-do apps, because I'm still in the search of a perfect to-do app that meets all my criteria. Also, I omitted operating systems.
A very important thing and foundation of privacy is your operating system, both on your phone and your computer.
But since this is more of a beginner video, I decided to talk about this in yet another future video. I made a quick checklist you can use for the 5-step process available in the description. Also, I met a person on Reddit that wrote a great website that explains some of the best privacy-focused alternatives. I'll link to it in the description. We do agree on a lot of things, but there are some differences. Also, for further research, I recommend checking out the subreddits PrivacyTools.io and Digital Minimalism. If you're still here, wow, thanks for watching. If you liked my video, please like my video. And subscribe for more videos like this, thought-provoking video essays, and sometimes me just doing whatever I want to do. In case you haven't seen the first and second part of my series, you can check it out here. And if you want to get recommended a random video of mine, you can click here. I'm now just gonna wear this silly mustache until the video ends. Oh no, it's falling off.